Cameras. 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 Cameras? Hey. Cameras? Cameras. Cameras! Cameras. Cameras. Cameras.
Some of these shots might be a little blown out because I forgot my phone holder for this $4,500 camera, so I couldn't accurately set my exposure. I know it's just a stills body, and I know Sony's just a $1 billion corporation, so there's no way they could give us more, video features in this hybrid system that we are now living in. So life's great.
Photography technology has plateaued. We have it all. The only reason to spend our dissolving currency on these computers with optical holes is for versatility. So what's the purpose of a camera when it has the best hardware on the market but the worst software features? It's the first fully stacked 66 megapixel sensor, but at 16:9 it's still just Super 35 height. Some of the cleanest dynamic range and color in a high megapixel camera, but none of the tools to accurately use them. Of course it takes great quality photos, but so does every other camera from the past 10 years. But hey, my favorite lens isn't available for the L-mount Mafia, so I've been truly enjoying using this Sony A7RVI for the reason alone. Let's talk about this camera some more and how Sony went full throttle with its amazing video quality, just to give us none of the tools to fully utilize that quality and just to call it a stills camera, because that makes sense. Alright guys, a little slight dilemma. I low-key have been enjoying using this new Sony A7RVI. I know it's going to be a shock to some people, but I've been enjoying it so much, so I asked if I could extend the loaner because I was supposed to send it back yesterday. So I'm going to Chloride, Arizona, and you see when I start panning like this, more clouds come in, but then around 4 or 5 p.m. it starts clearing up. Wait, I'm supposed to have a hat on in every video because people think I'm bald. So the dilemma is, Chloride, Arizona is about a 4-hour drive for me. It's probably gonna be 1.5 tanks of gas in my Bronco. Obviously the Cheeto Man is destroying the world and the country. And do I drive and spend all that money on gas? Because gas is like freaking $6 a gallon right now, just for clouds to possibly ruin the trip. And the whole point of it is I want to do film photography. Do I drive 8 hours today, which is probably gonna be like $300 to $400 in gas just to take some pictures that I'm gonna post on Instagram and get 10 likes, because whatever. But I do because I love it. And that's the whole point of life, I guess, because without that, what's the point? We might as well just poof. Some of you guys might be wondering, hey, Cam's talked a lot of shit on Sony. How come he's using this camera? I'm glad you asked, because this camera low-key. All right guys, twice now, I turned around, I was like, I'm gonna go home. Like, I feel like I'm too late, but we're committing to it. But I did stop on the side of the road because we have beautiful Toy Story looking clouds, and I'm dying to get an X-Pan shot on that. So far, Sony hold up really well, but definitely would be nice to have, de-stretch internally with the bigger screen, waveforms, because I can't tell if this is blown out or not. Zebras are going on, but the zebras are linked to the LUT, and so it's not linked to the log. Sony, come on. Autofocus with the Blazar Talon 35mm, and the new Sony has been outstanding. Let's do Ektar. Let's get this Ektar loaded up. Listen to that. Trying to get my first shot of the trip. So let me show you this contraption. This is a Tilta car monopod thing. I don't know what the hell they're calling this. And then this little attachment piece, and I got the Mofage Talon arm. It's hotter than it's supposed to be. I didn't bring any extra clothes. We might end up having to stay out here for an extra day. if I don't move quick enough, which I'm not right now. If I didn't have this app, I would hate this camera, honestly. The app is what's saving Sony right now, which is ridiculous. Like if they could do all this in an app, you're telling me they can't do this in this camera? They can. I did something super stupid. I have to send the Sony A7RVI back to FedEx today. And I was dreading not being able to use these new Blazar Talon autofocus anamorphics for E-mount. So I went to Best Buy and I bought something that I should have never bought. Some may say it's the worst camera Sony's ever released. Those people being me. But now I get it. I didn't want to spend all that money on a brand new FX3. And I even went to Facebook Marketplace. But everybody there thought they had the most special camera in existence. And so they weren't willing to come down on price. And so I did the foolish thing and I bought the Sony FX2. I know. How could I? Not to beast the first shot. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this trip might go to shit because this is the third time I'm stopping and we're already running behind, so I can't help it though. And I'm gonna have to stop into a thrift store or something and find some clothes. My God, this is just epic right here. This is taking every brain cell and bone in my body to not turn around and go back home. It's saying we're gonna be there by 4:30, which gives me 2 hours, 2.5 hours of daylight. And then I'm gonna drive right back home. And I'm just not feeling it all that much today, sadly. So you guys just saw that shot where everything outside of my Bronco's window is blown out. The camera doesn't have waveforms. The zebras were saying that the highlights were safe. I went and put it into the program. They were not safe. This is the annoyance. But I kind of saved it a little bit by using FilmConvert's HAZY plugin. So some of you guys may know that I kind of hate diffusion filters when it mainly comes to my filmmaking. When it comes to photography, I still use diffusion filter all the time. But when it comes to video, I've just been using HAZY. HAZY is a plugin that FilmConvert made where basically you throw it on. I do it before every other node because I want it to look like as if it was an actual lens filter. So you just go and you choose the camera profile. Obviously this is S-Log3. And then from there we have Black Pro Mist, Glimmer Glass, the smoke filter. All the most popular filters are in there, plus some other hidden little gems in there. Now, I mainly use the smoke filter. I absolutely love the Tiffin smoke filter, but it is uncontrollable. When you actually use it in real life on a lens, there's so many times where it ruins a shot and other times where it's like perfect. Well, when you're using the HAZY plugin, you just slap it on and you can control the intensity of it. I could turn it up and really bloom the image out, or I could turn it down, or I could turn the volume up on it. I could turn up the spread, all of that. I use a lot, especially when I'm using like the DJI pocket cameras or sterile lenses, action cameras, whatever it is. Pretty much every shot that has blown out highlights in this video, I'm using the HAZY tool because it kind of just softens it a little bit. And sometimes it even kind of makes it look like you put haze into the atmosphere. So anyway, shout out to FilmConvert. I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want to check it out, and I'll make sure to include a discount code on there as well. I highly recommend trying it for yourself and trying out the demo version and just testing it and seeing how freaking amazing it works. And here's proof that I got the FX2. I know, I'm stupid. I actually just returned the FX2. I was not digging it at all. Colors look great, but in my opinion, there wasn't really any reason for me to get the cinema body because even though it does have anamorphic D-stretch for 2x and 1.3x, it doesn't work with the autofocus. So I returned it. Huge shout out to Anthony over at Best Buy for helping me out with that. It was a little bit of a situation. He came and saved the day. So if you're seeing this, buddy, thank you for taking care of me. But with that said, I got the A7 V. So anyways, let's get back about the A7R6. So using the Sony A7R6, there's some amazing features in here. Let me put my glasses on because I can't see this 1.5x stretched image on the back of the FX2. There's a lot of third-party lenses in the works. I'm under a lot of NDAs, I can't talk about them, but a lot of fun, quirky, vintage inspired very unique third-party lenses coming out, all for E-mount, because E-mount is an open mount. We even got the Tilta autofocus adapter. There's other stuff coming out that I can't talk about it, but it's all coming out for E-mount. And meanwhile, I love using my Lumix cameras, but all these options coming out, it's a little bit annoying that we can't use any of them on L-mount, because the L-mount Alliance, they say any company can make an L-mount lens, but they would have to join the L-mount Alliance. So then you got to ask yourself, okay, so what does it take to join the L-mount Alliance, and how come companies aren't just doing that? So I'll talk about the FX2 in a future video, but the A7R6, some of you guys might be asking, how come I just didn't wait for this if I've been enjoying using it so much? Well, one, the price, it's going to be $1,000 to $2,000 more than this FX2. And in reality, when I'm using these Sony cameras, it's purely going to be to use these lenses, which means I'm probably going to be filming by myself. And so it's just going to be on a tripod. So I don't need anything fancy. I was just going to get a ZVE1, but you guys know I film in the desert a lot. And so I don't know if that was going to last with its overheating. But what's unique about the Sony A7R6 is we now have a dual gain shooting mode. All right, guys, I just finished another roll and the Fujifilm X-Pan. So I'm going to take this roll out. But while I'm doing this, I want to test this DGO. I've only been using the DGO mode, the dual gain shooting mode. That's what they're calling it. It's basically what Lumix has, where it's, it combines the lower gain, higher gain, and it puts it into one image. It's going to expand your dynamic range, but it's also going to slow down the sensor a little bit. So we'll test out rolling shutter and everything. Yeah, you can see right now, the zebras are saying all this is blown out. So I'm going to put this in standard mode and see if there's a big difference for dynamic range. All right, now we are in the standard mode. And what's interesting is, one, I haven't been able to figure out a way to put this dual gain shooting mode into a custom button. I think that would help a lot, because the times, this is how I use on the Lumix cameras. When I need the speed readout and less rolling shutter, I put in standard mode. When I just need better dynamic range, I put into the dynamic range expansion mode or dual gain mode, whatever they're calling it. On top of that too, similar to the Lumix cameras again, when you put it into the dual gain shooting mode, you don't get your dual base ISOs anymore. So it goes from ISO like 800 up to 3200, and then you can't go above that. So if you want to get back into your second base ISOs, you gotta go back to standard mode, which isn't an issue. It says it's gonna kill my battery faster, and I think it might increase the overheating time. If you're shooting in this mode, there are some downsides that come with it. I've been filming in the desert today here in Palm Springs, and I haven't had any overheating warnings. Granted, I've been in and out of the Bronco, and I've had the AC on and everything, so I don't know. But the battery does die pretty damn quick on this. So this was a full battery when I started to film. I haven't been filming that much either, and it's already at 73%. But dynamic range isn't purely just the luminosity part of the dynamic range. It can also be noise performance and the color fidelity. Well, that's what we're really getting when you go into that mode on here. The noise cleans up a whole lot. So if you're somebody that loves stretching your image in post, the dual gain shooting mode is going to be magical for you. It also seems to pump in better color information into the high and the low parts of the image. So again, if you're stretching your image in post a lot, it's going to give you extra information to work with. So everything that you guys have seen in this video has been shot on this A7R6 in that dual gain shooting mode. So there are times where, it seems like there's rolling shutter, but that also could be from the IBIS and the anamorphic. Once again, my Lumix cameras have an anamorphic IBIS mode. Sony does not. And so you're gonna get weird warpiness sometimes if you're doing like handheld stuff or if you're hard mounting as I was doing. So again, all this just makes me wanna rant for the fact that, the Lumix cameras would be perfect for me if the L-mount Alliance wasn't holding back third-party manufacturers. Or Sony would be perfect for me if they actually put real useful cinema or video features in all these hybrid cameras that instead they say, oh, they're just photo cameras. Come on, why are they putting such amazing video quality in this without the video features if they're just gonna call it a stills camera? Like, why not just put 1080p in it at that point? My last sliver of hope here for Sony is the fact that we do have a brand new freaking battery for the Sony A7R6, and that leads me to assume whatever other camera Sony releases is most likely going to be utilizing this battery, and I'm assuming on top of that, that this battery is going to help them push the sensor a little bit more for things like open gate. So we'll see. I have zero clue what's on the roadmap for Sony. but this gives me a lot of hope that someday we will get OpenGate from Sony, and maybe waveforms, maybe actual useful cinema features. So yeah, anyways, I gotta get this packed up and I gotta get out the door to drop this off. All right, guys, let's talk about this lens and body combo real quick. Obviously, we do not have OpenGate. And again, Sony marketing team and Sony fanboys will say, it's a stills camera, doesn't need OpenGate, nobody needs OpenGate, blah, 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 blah. Listen, Sony's $1 billion corporation. You do not need to make excuses for them. I think they'll be just fine if we say, hey, every other camera company, including even our phones now, can do OpenGate. So Sony, you're one of the best camera companies out there. You should be able to do OpenGate. With that said, I don't think a lot of people realize when you're using anamorphics on a 16:9 full frame sensor, you're really getting a Super 35 vertical portion. And then when you crop the edges out to get your final traditional 2:4:0 crop ratio, you're essentially shooting a Super 35 camera. I'm about to switch out the Talon 35mm to the 50mm because again, I'm filming a bunch of other videos. But before I do that, let's talk about the point of OpenGate, specifically for anamorphic. Obviously, OpenGate can be great for content creators. We're trying to get vertical and horizontal usage out of it. Ask yourself, how come everybody's using OpenGate but you trying to stick up for $1 billion corporation and excusing on why they're not doing it? They, you know, they're one of the best out there to be able to do it. Anyways, so let's say that L-mount Mafia was more open and just any company can make lens options for the L-mount. And say if the Blazar Talon 35mm was launched with an L-mount as well because there's less headaches, I would be able to use 3x2 full frame OpenGate with this. So on a proper full frame 3x2 sensor with a 1.5x anamorphic, we would get a 35mm vertical height and compression. And on the width, we would get a little bit wider than a 24mm lens. But since we're shooting and stuck with 16:9 full frame, which a lot of people aren't aware of this fact, but 16:9 full frame vertical height is a lot closer to Super 35mm sensor size on the height, not the width, just the height. So when we're using anamorphics with a 1.5x anamorphic, by the time we get to our final crop ratio 2:4:0.1 and we're cropping off the sides, we're really going to have more of a 40mm height and compression with more like a 28mm width. So some of you guys might be okay with that we're essentially cropping into that full frame look and we're cropping into the lens. But the other thing we're going to miss out on is if you are somebody like me, where a lot of people are starting to come to these terms of, hey, if I'm getting into anamorphic, the point is to get that character and that juice and to create a more unique look than just a clinical look, which is why a lot of Hollywood DPs still use anamorphics, and specifically vintage anamorphics still run the game. So when you start cropping into your anamorphic lens that you paid so much money for, you are cropping out a lot of those characteristics that are built into that lens because you're cropping into the center of that lens. You're cropping all those edges out. You're losing some of that magic. This is why OpenGate's so important for anamorphics. With that said, I'm gonna switch over to the 50mm. So I have no idea what aperture I was on previously, but we're at T4 right now, and this is the Talon 50mm on the new Sony A7RVI. So yeah, just want to show you guys that. Now I need to go film. This Blazar Talon 35mm has been working beautifully on this body. So good that I don't really have to worry about autofocus because I trust that it's just gonna work. We all know Sony has the best autofocus. Lumix has caught up a lot, Nikon's caught up a lot, but even with that, Sony is just bulletproof when it comes to the autofocus. So this has been amazing to use. Again, I don't have waveforms on here though. It's because the Sony A7RVI, the previous generation of this camera, the video was okay on it when it first came out. I think we all loved it, but then soon, it got replaced with other manufacturers just making better, higher megapixel cameras like the Z8 and the Lumix S1R2. It's safe to say this is the best hardware on the market, but the worst software on the market, with the best autofocus on the market, with the best lens options on the market, but with no OpenGate. One of the only companies not giving us OpenGate on the market. The monitor control app that Sony has, we have anamorphic D-squeeze, false color, zebras, everything that you would need out of a cinema camera, you can basically do through this app. as a content creator, when I'm filming myself, you know, usually I do need something to wirelessly watch myself. So this is a very beautiful combination. Now, if I was to use this camera for commercial work where I'm operating or I'm directing or anything like that, that's where, you know, the Lumix camera comes back into play, because we have all these tools that are in the app are in the Lumix camera. Not only that, there's other stuff like anamorphic IBIS and just like all these little innovative features that Lumix has done. Like, not only does Lumix have open gate, but they also have a 4x3 open gate mode now for like 2x anamorphics, or if you want the old school look, whatever. Even though I love how easy it can be to use a Sony, I just have it on a tripod right now. I'm trusting the autofocus, even with this anamorphic 1.5x D-stretch anamorphic autofocus lens on here. It's working amazing, even better than it probably would on a Lumix. But again, the issue is we don't have all of these features in the app in the camera. It's a big issue. And I understand, you know, Sony marketing people will say, oh, well, we have this and that, and oh, that's why we have FX3 and blah, blah. But not even the FX3 has all the features that a Lumix has internally. The only other camera that Sony has that has as many features as the Lumix cameras for operating and all the cinema features is the Sony Venice. Not even the Burano does half of the stuff, which is mind-boggling. So yeah, this is the headache, is like, we all know Sony just has really amazing cameras. They're bulletproof, everything just works great, but they're missing out so many of the features. And it's very annoying that it's like, it's so good. Like, this image looks amazing on this camera now compared to the last A7R. You can see I have my zebras on. Annoyingly though, the zebras are mapped to the LUT. I wish you could map the zebra strictly to the log, even when you have a LUT preview on. Kind of annoying that we can't do that, but it does look like it's peaking. But again, the zebras don't match the zebras in camera. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but we can close this down a little bit more to make sure our exposure is good. Like, this is a real powerhouse for, you know, solo creators. The Lumix app is really good as well, but the Sony monitor control app 1000% takes the cake. It's just super fast to connect, super easy to get it all up and running, no issues, and it's very consistent overall, minimum dropout. So I would say Lumix app out of all of the manufacturers is second place, and this Sony monitor control app is first place. And I think that's, I could confidently say that. Now, let's say I was filming a film video, which I actually am. You know, I'm about to pull over, take a photograph. Without even looking at the camera, I'm just gonna switch this back into autofocus, and it should rack focus. There you go. Like, this just, and again, the fact that I'm on an autofocus anamorphic and it could just do that, you know, that's what it's kind of all about. Again, I'm going back to manual focus. I'm gonna manually rack that. Look at that. That is a perfect freaking photograph. That's what we're gonna do. I might even be able to get an X-pan shot of this. And I'm actually just gonna film myself through the windshield here. I think that would be freaking cool. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, guys, this might be worth the X-pan shot. I got 2 shots left on that roll, so I say we do it.
And that's all she wrote. I feel like we're all experiencing a little bit of what Goldilocks went through. None of these brands are perfect, even though we know that they're capable of it.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching my video. I know there's a million videos that came out today, so mad respect to you guys. So final thoughts on the A7R6. I think this is an amazing camera. I think this camera is gonna be amazing for anybody who does 60-40, 60% photography, 40% video. Because if you're one of those people, you most likely don't need all the extra excessive tools that a filmmaker might need. I think this camera's image quality is gonna be amazing for you, for stills and for video. I think if you're mainly a stills photographer and you already have the Sony A7R5, I really don't think you're gonna need to upgrade. Like, you're gonna get more speed out of this, but the A7R5 is already like fast enough, I think, for most people, unless you are, you know, shooting cheetahs in your mom's basement or you're a sports photographer or something like that. If you're somebody that does 60-40, but reverse, so 60% more video and 40% more photography, I think you should wait. You know, seeing Sony put a new battery in this, I think that's a huge sign that there's more stuff to come. And I think that battery is going to help obviously way more for video side of things, because video requires a lot more power than photography does. So if that was you, personally, I would say don't buy this camera and wait for the rest of the year to see what else Sony might have coming out for you. Anyways, that's it for this video. Seriously, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for watching all of this and sticking out towards the end to see my final opinion. And yeah, exciting times, but also not.